welcome.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so yeah, as I said, was a beekeeper for about 5 years. Oh, wow, you've got... Oh, wow. Oh, I didn't know you had that. That's nice. Okay. So if I was to tell you that 50% of all cows, chickens, and sheep on Earth disappeared overnight without any reason, how would you react? Probably a bit confused, probably a bit worried, probably a bit scared. Well, that's what happened to bees last year. And no one batted an eyelid. No one cared, because bees are a completely different thing. They're alien to us. They have a hive mind. It's kind of scary. When you think about bees, you think about these giant swarms flying around and attacking people, which isn't actually the case. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about how we represent bees in games and how that actually sort of compounds that fear of bees and that worry about bees and lack of care we have that is perpetuated in our society. So I looked at about 41 games when I was doing some research for this, and about 70% of them had a negative representation of bees in general. Like they had them as active enemies, or they were bosses, or things like that. So I'm going to look at, first of all, Cuphead, Donkey Kong, and also Don't Starve, because all three of them have massive bee bosses. They have big bees that you have to go and take down, and they tend to be the queen bees, which is kind of inaccurate because queen bees are actually super small. They're just a little bit bigger than the normal bee. They're not like, like with termites, they have the giant queen with the big butt. They're not like that. They're really, really tiny. And they're really quite tame. So when I was a beekeeper, we used to be able to just pick up the queen bee and mark it with a pen on the back, and it would just be absolutely fine. It wouldn't sting, and you just put it back and it would be fine. And they just sit there and lay eggs all day. That's what they do. They're not aggressive. They don't attack. All they do is lay eggs. And they're not very aggressive. I'm going to look at Conkers Bad Fur Day next. Who's played Conkers Bad Fur Day? Popular rare game. Good. Okay. So in that there is the king bee, and you have to do this really weird thing where you have to tickle a sunflower, and the sunflower opens up, and then the king bee comes in to pollinate. It's very, very weird and kind of creepy. But that's really inaccurate because for the most part, most bees are actually female. Like all the drones you see going, well, all the normal worker bees that you see going out of the hive, they're all female bees, and the queen is a female too. The only male bees there are the drones, and they come out during the summer to mate, and that's all they do. For the first start of the year, they basically are fed, and they just sit in the hive and do nothing other than eat, and they're a massive drain on resources. And then they go out in the summer, then they go out and they breed, and as soon as they breed, their entire insides explode when they have sex. It just explodes, and then they fall and they die. So if you see loads and loads of bees on the floor in the summer, it's because they've just got laid and they're dead. So bees do that, and another thing that's quite funny is that if they haven't mated by the time summer's over and the food stocks start going down, the female bees actively just kick them out the hive and then allow back in. They're just like, no, you're a waste, go, get out. Then I'm going to talk about Proteus, and This Is How Bees Work. Has anyone seen a game called This Is How Bees Work? It's quite nice. It's like a little sort of screensaver style game. It's really cute. And Proteus, and most people have probably played Proteus here. Yeah, Proteus and This Is How Bees Work are really nice because they've got this really good portrayal of bees just being part of the environment and actually actively helping and pollinating the plants. It's really nice. And an important part of bees is that during the winter, they don't die out. They sort of stay inside their hive. And most other insects, they die out over the winter, and the queen is the only one that survives. So they have to spend the spring laying new eggs and bringing up a new brood of workers, whereas bees don't, which means that they can go out in the spring and all our spring flowering plants can then be pollinated. If we didn't have bees, then we wouldn't have any of the spring flowering vegetables that we actually enjoy today. So when Einstein said that if the bees died out, we would die out. That's not necessarily the case. It's just our diets would be really, really crap. So we need them for just the variety. Who's played the new Legend of Zelda on the Switch? Quite a few people. How about Animal Crossing? Quite a lot of people. So in that, you often will find yourself destroying beehives and then having the swarm attack you. That's perfectly accurate. If you go around kicking beehives or knocking into them, they're going to attack you. But destroying them in those games is killing loads and loads of bees and destroying months of work, and it's perfectly fine. It's completely laughed off in these games. It's normal, but you're actually killing. You're destroying a home to about 60,000 bees. It's horrible. If you were to do that on like a human level, that would be disgusting. But with bees, it's like, oh no, it's fine. They're just bees. They're insects. This is fine. They'll just build a new hive. And also the swarms that you get that come out of the hives, they're not actually the scary, nasty things that you'd normally be used to. So if you see like a swarm on a car during the summer, it's just because the hive's gotten so big that they have to split, and then half of them have to move house. And when they're in this swarm state, they're actually really chill. Like, you can put your hand inside a swarm and they won't sting you, because for the most part they're just trying to retain energy and then look for a new home. So whenever you see a swarm, don't be afraid of it. Don't go near it and kick it or try and shoo them away, but just be nice to them. And the final one I'm going to talk about is Stardew Valley. So who's played Stardew Valley? Stardew Valley is really great because you can actually get beehives and put them down. And what they've done in that is they've also got it so then, depending on what stuff you put near the beehive, like the different flowers in it, depends on what type of honey you get. And that's accurate to real bees. So when you put them near wildflowers, you get wildflower honey. If you put them near pine, you get pine honey. It's really, really nice. I want to talk a little bit about the exploitation of bees for a second. So who drinks almond milk or likes almond milk? You're all bad people. So almonds and almond trees, they actually cost more in terms of energy for a bee to go and pollinate them than they do give back to the bees. So the bees are actually getting less out of it from pollinating them. And what happens is, because everyone's drinking almond milk now as an alternative to bees, I mean, not alternative to bees, alternative to milk, not bees. Don't drink bees. Do not drink bees. It's an alternative to milk. And there are now these massive almond farms in America. And beekeepers have to actually drive their beehives all the way across different states to these almond farms, and they have to just feed them loads and loads of sugar, because they get paid by the almond farms to pollinate all the flowers, and they don't get anything back, so they actually have to pay out of their own pocket to keep the bees alive whilst they're pollinating all of these almond trees. Oat milk is much better. Oat milk is a lot much better, so get that. Another thing in Stardew Valley is when you have like cows and sheep, it's sheep, isn't it? It's not sheeps. Sheep. You have to go and like click on them every day to check they're all right. And if you don't check on them every day, then they get upset and they produce worse crops. With a beehive in Stardew Valley, you stick it down and then you forget about it. It's done. It automates itself, which isn't the case. So when I was a beekeeper, before every week you have to go and check on them to make sure they're all right. And during the winter, you actually have to go and give them loads of food, because they don't always necessarily collect all the food they need for the rest of the year. But Stardew Valley, because the person who made it didn't necessarily know that beekeeping is like a full-time important job, basically didn't think about that. So if I'd been working on Stardew Valley, I would have had it so you at least had to once a week go to your beehive and just click on it just to give across, like, you've got to look after these things because this is a full-time job. These are animals that are in your care, so you actually have to look after them. When I went beekeeping for the first time, the head beekeeper at the place I went to was very, very cautious about this thing, because what a lot of people would do is they go, oh, I want to keep bees. They're easy, that's fine. They'd buy a beehive for their back garden and then they'd just leave it. And then either the bees would go crazy and get angry, or they'd start swarming and they'd go, oh, why have I got bees in my chimney now? What's going on? Because they hadn't been looked after properly or cultivated properly. So in conclusion, we don't care enough about bees because a lot of the time we find that bees are these otherworldly creatures, and not everyone's that into insects, but they're vital to our survival and the things that we enjoy. And if we are to make more games with bees in them, don't necessarily have them as enemies. Have them as friends instead. So be nice to them. Thank you.
Thanks for the talk. Wait, so I want to announce the winner for the Scrambleshake 18. I was really like, I was paying attention, but like I just like made this award really quick. So the winner for the Scrambleshake 18 Bee Egg Buzz Award is Sean. It is you. You're the winner. Do you want to do your stuff first? Yeah. Congratulations. Do you want to give any speech for?
Oh, thanks. I'd like to thank the bees, please.